to do?
Turn it to silent.
No, it's more exciting when it goes off during the middle of things.
Well, yeah, not that my phone ever rings, but
I'll call you. I don't have your cell.
no, it's my this. I only use it for work,
Oh, okay.
mainly because work gave it to me.
What the hell did I do to my glasses? Oh well.
I mean, if you ever have a work question, you can use it.
I don't know about that.
You probably have more stuff than me.
Well, yeah, but it's all propaganda. So.
What's in the way?
What's in the way? Oh, no, be careful.
Oh, that's right. I forgot we can't
Uh-oh.
do that. What did I do?
Nothing.
Okay, we'll just leave it as is.
Well, we could move over. You could move over a little bit.
Ew, foodies.
Well, I am.
So, feeling good?
Yeah. Hey, should I wear the glasses or no glasses?
Whatever you're comfortable
Well,
with.
I got to be able to see.
Town events, town events.
Oh, you have town events? Burying ground tours. Oh,
So you have something different from me.
yeah, this is what the House Democrats put out.
Oh.
Yours is probably better. When was yours put out? Oh, see, yeah, this is good stuff.
It's just major ones, though.
Yeah, that's all right. That's what we want to talk about. I'll talk about some things. I mean, some of the things I want to talk about that, obviously I want to talk about Newtown, the FOI, maybe the gun law. We did this thing for workers' compensation for workers.
Oh,
okay.
I don't know if I checked that one off.
That's basically funded by private donations. I want
Really?
Yeah. I want to talk about the budget, a little bit about how Weathersfield fared. We'll talk about the bonding that we got for Weathersfield.
Bonding.
We could talk about GMOs. We could
GMOs
talk about
and,
work zone safety.
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage we could talk about. What's that?
Genetically
Yep, I like
engineered.
that.
Gun.
Yep.
Mixed martial arts.
Sure.
Just for interest. Undocumented.
Oh,
That's up to you.
I mean, do you think that's? I think that's probably negative in this town, don't you?
All right.
Don't you think?
Yeah. Highway worker,
Yeah.
strengthening cell phone.
Yeah. What else did I want to talk about?
But what else you got?
For aging, I got something on synchronizing prescription refills. Something for
Oh, I might
seniors.
not have that.
For seniors, you can just ask me about it.
Aging.
Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? So we could talk about some small business bills. Just put commerce, and I'll go to the pages. School safety.
Yeah. Is that in the same one with the guns?
No.
All right, school safety.
We could talk about some environment laws if we have time. Locally grown products.
Oh,
You know,
yep.
Just put environment, and I'll go to just if you get there, say, hey. I also want to talk. One of the highlights I want to talk about is making it easier for overseas voters.
Oh, yeah, we have to do election stuff.
Yep, we'll do some election stuff. And then if we're really losing our mind, we will,
Oh, we got tons here,
yeah,
Russ.
yeah. There's quite a bit here to talk about.
Now, in commerce, there's not a whole lot here.
Commerce, well, but what I have here, which is some pretty interesting stuff, which is small business stuff. Where the hell is it? Is financial aid for small businesses and stuff. So there's some small business express stuff. So I think those are good. Just to talk about.
Step Up is there, should be there too. Step Up for veterans.
Is that under veterans? Military resource service contact person, military lead. You may not have gone through. It's actually more than that, but, so we want to talk about, what other town events are there?
There were about 5 things there.
Yeah, I thought there was something else, so.
I didn't
that
see anything.
Yeah.
6/13/13. Wow. That's
So
pretty
what's going
cool.
on? How was your party?
It was fun. I'm glad I could leave.
How liquored up did you get?
I don't drink
At all?
much.
Oh, it's up there. It says 4 o'clock.
Good
Hello.
evening, everyone. Welcome to the Morin Report with State Representative Russ Morin.
I'll tell you, they're messing with us. I see blue screen behind us. There's no screen in front of us. The clock on the wall says 4 o'clock.
I think we're
We
on.
might be in California or something. Maybe that's what the problem is.
It's June 13th.
Already?
And-
It's not Friday, is it?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And so, gee, Russ, the session ended last week, at midnight
Yes.
on the 5th.
Yes,
and
it did.
so I think we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I wanted to. We haven't been on in a couple months, basically because we've been in session and we've not been out of the Capitol, on time to come and do the show.
Did they have cots for you in the Capitol?
No.
I mean, you've been there till like 3, 4 in the morning.
6.
6 in
Yeah.
the morning.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, there's no cots. We just, some people go, try to sit somewhere and just, relax. I tend to, especially with the position I'm in now. I'm getting a call. There must be something going on. Okay. Audio. Let's see what we're getting. Can you see us? Hello? No. Terrible background noise. Can you see us, though?
We can see you, but we can't hear a thing.
Beautiful.
Not
Thank
a thing?
you.
Like the static
Oh.
going on in the background.
Well, that makes the show easier to do. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye. All right, so there are technical difficulties. There's okay. Okay, so is there a way to? Do we know if we can fix what's going out? We're going to try. Beautiful.
But should we just keep talking?
Sure. It's recording,
Okay.
so there's always a curveball on this live
Well, then-
television thing, isn't there?
We can just chat.
So we'll go back, but no, with the late hours and the craziness and stuff, it's just requires you to drink a lot of coffee.
I'm glad you added coffee.
No, it's something. Before we start with the end of session stuff, so I do want to talk about a few things that are going on locally, as we always do. And thank you for providing me with some local events. I do want to touch base and say how nice the Memorial Day parade was that we had. Of course, they canceled it due to the lack of rain that we've been having. And they had the ceremony at the high school, and all the people that were involved, the town staff and everybody, did a terrific job. And we had, everybody was there. The governor and lieutenant governor were there. Both U.S. senators were there.
That's
Congressman
wonderful.
Larson, all the state delegation, and
That's
and
wonderful.
a lot of people from the community. So it was really
good.
nice. So to Larry Spellacy and the crew,
Yeah.
congratulations
They do a
on
good
another job well done. So starting, there's June 15th. This is this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
This Saturday, right?
And I think it continues on.
Yes. There's a burying ground tours at First
Yeah.
Church. And that's pretty cool, actually.
It
'cause
does sound pretty cool.
It's only if you're a member of the Historical Society, it's free. But if you're not, it's only $5, and you can meet people in the parking lot at First Church. And many, I don't know if you remember when they used to do the Weathersfield weekend stuff many years ago.
Yes, I do.
In the 90s, I worked as a couple of us. We got involved and we stood out in the burial ground and we portrayed characters that were buried there.
Oh, that's very cool.
It was a lot of fun, but the burial, it's a beautiful place
Yeah.
and there's a lot of history. So I'd encourage you to go.
And they do it, I think, throughout the summer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah.
So it ought to be pretty good. Call the Historical Society. You don't even have to register. Another cool thing that's going on is the issue with.
oh, it's an issue with Cox.
Oh,
Okay.
Good. So we're having problems. I'm getting. Okay. So what we're hearing is it's being recorded normally. So those of you that are trying to watch live.
Well, that won't really help with our call-ins now, will it?
Well, they could call in
But they won't. No.
what we said. It'll make them watch again.
721-8814. Please call in.
So we're getting.
that your mother?
Yeah, it's everybody calling.
Why don't you see what your mother has to say?
Yeah, this is beautiful. Don't worry. It's just the Cox feed. It's recording well for future viewers. How's that? I know. There's a problem with Cox. So why don't you text me if it ever gets better?
All right.
Thank you. Bye. I have my own. I have my techies all over the world. We can't hear a thing. So, but another cool thing that's going on is the 19th century baseball.
Yeah.
11 o'clock on Saturday mornings at Cove Park, and it's gonna go on till August 24th. The local team is called the Red Onions. Imagine that. So it's
pretty
pretty
neat.
cool. It's pretty cool. Against the Newtown Sandy Hooks on Saturday, this at 10:30. So if you have a chance, take a ride over for that. It's sponsored by the Historical Society. They're doing a lot of good
They're
things.
doing a lot.
Something going on. The Putnam Bridge Trail Connections meeting. It'll be held at the Riverfront Community Center in Glastonbury, and it's really a public information meeting for people as they were trying to get connected to the Putnam Bridge from both sides.
That'd
So
be very cool.
it's we'll see what happens, but it's that project is going along. If you ever have to drive over there.
Oh, boy, yeah.
One of the favorite things we have in Weathersfield, the Farmers Market, 3
Yes.
o'clock on Thursdays at the Solomon Wells House. That's going to go on until December. But it's a good time. It's really good. They have a lot of great people that come in and vendors, and it's
People
good.
say that ours is much better than other towns.
Well, they've done a nice job with the venue, bringing it over to the Solomon
Yeah.
Wells. I think that's a real plus. And they have high-quality vendors. They have
Yeah.
a lot of farms and a lot of different types of products, whether it's soaps or, they have some food products. They have, all kinds of things. And it's really a nice layout.
Yeah, it really is.
And so it's nice. And then the Raleigh Ringers Concert. Going to be June 23rd. If you say that Raleigh Ringers concert
hard
three
to
times,
say.
4 o'clock at the high school. They do all kinds of different kinds of music.
It's a bell.
It's a bell concert.
Yeah.
It's sponsored by First Church, and it's one of those things. If you've ever been there, David Spicer, the music minister at First Church, does a terrific job, and they have quite a bell group. Different groups. They have little kids that do it up to seniors. They
that's
have different
great.
bell choirs, and so that's something they're doing in town. It's going to be nice. And the most important thing for our producer, director, chief bottle washer, Matt in the back, is the last day of school,
Wow. When is that?
Monday, June 24th.
And is that the same day as graduation?
That is graduation. Yeah, he's probably out of school close to now. They're probably saying to him, forget it. Yeah, he's so smart, but
I think he was saying he has
he's got finals next
2
week.
exams.
So,
2 exams.
so we will have graduation on June 24th at Cove Park, and I want to give a great congratulations to all of our graduating seniors and their families.
Do you go?
I do every year.
Yeah, that's what I
I've been
thought.
going. I don't think I've missed one since 1995.
Huh, that's great.
Since I've been first elected to the Board of Ed. I always enjoy graduation. I get, now that I just get to sit there and watch all that
Yeah.
stuff. I don't have to. They put the state guys in the back, and we get
And
to
you can
watch.
just
But it's nice.
enjoy.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's really cool because you can look out at the kids.
Oh, yeah.
And see,
You got good seats.
Yeah, I have great seats and see the families and how happy everybody
Yeah.
is to see their child graduating. I've had a chance to see 3 of my kids walk across. Last year was Andrew.
Yeah,
So it's good stuff.
wonderful.
So then we can get back now into the excitement of this last legislative session.
Now, Russ, this was a different type of session for you because you had a different role.
Yeah. I was I am a deputy majority leader, and that changes things quite a bit. It's a lot different than my years as a committee chair or rank and file because, I did bring out a couple bills this year, which is not the norm, but for whatever reason they asked me to do it. Our responsibility was really to make sure everything was running on the floor while we were bringing out bills, and it goes in the beginning process of really screening bills, which means reviewing every bill that comes up and making sure that if it has to be referred to another committee, because for whatever reasons, and getting a better understanding, making sure that if they were ready to go. And because there might be amendments that needed to be done, or they might still be working on things. So it was pretty interesting. I learned a lot about a lot of different bills and how things go. And then when we're in session, it's really coordinating with the committee chairs and making sure they're ready to bring out the bills and setting a flow and order of what business is going to get conducted. Pretty interesting.
Wow.
A little hectic towards the end, but
Well,
pretty interesting.
It sure seemed hectic from the outside looking in.
Yeah, it was interesting. We were able to get, but again, it requires a lot of communication with the committee chairs, with the speaker, with the minority side to, see, because there's all discussions and such that go back and forth on bills because they have bills that they want to see come to fruition, and so it requires a lot of give and take, a lot of discussion. So it was interesting.
And a lot of big-time bills, too,
Yeah.
that came out.
Yeah, we worked. This was a really, I think, difficult session for a lot of reasons. I mean, we started out right away after the Newtown shooting.
Yep.
Today the 6-month anniversary, and it really it started out, doing all that type of dealing with that type of issue and coming up with the gun legislation. And I got to tell you, I mean, it was probably the most draining thing I've ever dealt with. I had the opportunity over the last 4 or 5 months to meet parents from Newtown. And they at one point when we were debating whether we were going to do a gun bill, what we were doing, we were walking through to go to a caucus, and there was a whole group of parents that were there, and they're handing out picture postcards of their little child, and asking you to do something, and it was a very very passionate issue on both sides. I mean, there were a lot of people that really were not happy with this decision at all. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of people that thought that their Second Amendment rights were being taken away, and I'm not necessarily sure that that's the case, but from my perspective, but it was interesting. Then you had it was very powerful.
Oh, it must have been
To meet with the parents and just get those pictures. I ended up putting them in my office on my, I have like not a cork board, but a little board that's hanging behind my desk, and I hung the kids' pictures there because if nothing else, no matter how we feel on things, you know what, things aren't so bad.
You want to talk about?
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about the
bill?
the gun bill. What I think people really need to understand is that it was done in as bipartisan a manner as possible. I mean, I admired, and we may have talked about this previously, maybe in the March, but the Republican leadership was in the room, the Democratic leadership was in the room, and they hashed it out, and they went through things that they all could agree on, and what we voted on was everything that the group could agree on. If there were things that were not agreed upon, they weren't in the bill. And so, we talked about the things you hear a lot about, some background checks, which for whatever reason the federal government, the feds can't figure out how to get that done. And for the life of me, I don't understand how anybody could be against background checks for people buying weapons. But I guess that's why I'm not in Washington. One of the reasons. But we talked about the capacity of the magazines. I mean, we banned any new purchases of 30 round magazines. If you have them now, you can keep them. Same thing with the assault style weapons. If you have one now, you could keep it. We're not going to come in and take it. However, you couldn't buy them after that. We did a lot about, we put into place some stuff about the school infrastructure because, listen, some of the things we to make schools as safe as possible. Listen, you're never going to be able to do everything. You can't pretend to. But and as we further on through the session, we recognized that there were some things that probably weren't. We put into place a fund for municipalities to go after, to compete with, so they could get so they could possibly get that money, and we made it a little easier for the towns to apply for and get the money. In a subsequent legislation, we called it the gun fix bill, but so basically it was just some things like that had to be cleaned up. We made it, a lot of towns, you might have heard in the news, some towns were going to hire armed guards for their schools. And so we put something in there which, listen, if a town wants to do that, the town can do that. But what we wanted, it's never a good sign when you see all the people from Weathersfield Community Television standing with their hands on their chins or an absolute frightened look.
Hitting a lot of buttons.
Yeah. So,
Russ,
basically we put some guidelines in place and some regulations for the type of people you have to hire. But they have to be certified. They have to know what they're doing. They can't just be, you can't just hire me with a gun and say, okay, protect these kids.
so here, is there a background check?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there will be.
Yeah, there will be a background check. It's got to be initiated by the dealer that's selling
Okay.
the gun. And
Now, what would be someone's
uh-oh.
what would be someone's objection to a background check? You must have heard some comments. Russ,
I will say I didn't hear that many people negatively talking about the background check in Connecticut.
About that particular part. Okay.
I think many of people were willing to deal with that. It's some of the other stuff. It's now they're just turning off the TV. Matt's messing with us big time.
He is. There
So-
is nothing. We are not.
We're not even doing a show now.
Exactly. We're just chatting.
Okay. So, there was no issue with anybody about that in
Okay.
Connecticut. Very few. The big issues were people felt that it was taking away their rights. And, I guess to simplistically put it, we have the First Amendment, right? We have the right to free speech. You can't go into a movie theater and scream fire. As far as the right to bear arms, bazookas are arms. You can't go out in the street and buy a bazooka. There's a line, and there's certain things, and I respect the daylights out of. I have a lot of friends that are gun owners, and I respect the heck out of them, and I know that they're responsible people, and they're not causing the problem, but I just don't see what the need is for those type of weapons. So again, a philosophical issue. I didn't have any problem with my vote.
Okay.
Now maybe some people will, and maybe it'll affect me somewhere down the road. So be it.
Have you heard from any constituents on this?
When we were debating it, yes. A lot of constituents were, it was both sides, but I think the pro-gun people were definitely more vocal. But we move on, and I still think it was the right thing to do.
All right.
Yep.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it really was.
I have to say, it would not be tough for me, but,
It really was.
but I
Well,
can
yeah, exactly.
understand.
But so some of the other stuff that come up out of Newtown,
Yep.
one of the things that we learned about was the stress that the first responders,
Oh,
the
boy.
police, the ambulance, the
Yes.
volunteer firefighters, that they were going through, and some of them have had a hard time going back to work. And that type of stress is not covered under the workers' compensation.
Because there has to be a physical manifestation, right?
So we passed something, again, in a bipartisan manner that basically set up a fund for these specific people. And again, we took some heat, because, well, what if it happens here? And well, you know what? This was not a normal event. And,
Is it just for the
Yes.
Sandy Hook first
Yes.
responders?
Yes. And it's funded privately.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. There were a lot of corporations and businesses decided that they would
Wow. So there's
donate some
already money in the
yes,
fund?
Yeah, so we've been working on that to get that in place to help these people, because you know what they saw
Oh,
is just unbelievable and hard to imagine. So try to help those people out. It was pretty cool, and I want to finish this part because it's really it's sobering and it's sad, and it definitely put places it really drained me in many ways, but. One of the big concerns that had arisen was that the Sandy Hook families were being told that at some point in the near future the photos were going to be
Yes.
released,
yes.
and the 911 tapes. And so we in the legislature take the freedom of information aspect very seriously. And there was a big discussion going back and forth. Well, you know what? We can't stop these types of things from being released. We can't. And I was kind of one of them that said, well, yeah, yes, we can. Yeah, and we should. and we had some very good debates, but ultimately, the majority of our caucus was like, you know what, we don't want to do anything. So, one thing I really appreciate is the speaker called all the deputy majority leaders and all the deputy speakers into a meeting in his office, and there were about 25 or 30 parents from Sandy Hook. Well, no, because there's moms and dads, so there was probably representative of most of the children that were slain, and we got to listen to them, and some of the things that really caught it just rips your heart out. Listening to a mom, just sobbing, and there's actually things that are happening now where people are calling them, because there are some people that believe that this is just a conspiracy, and one of the moms was portraying how every day somebody calls and asks to speak to their child.
Oh.
and so we sat in that meeting, and the whole purpose that the speaker brought us in was so we could get our colleagues to come and talk to these people again and say, really, we don't want to do anything to try to give them some closure, try to help them. So what we ended up doing, which was initially was just going to be strictly Newtown. So some other people said, well, you know what? There's young people murdered every day in the cities and all over the place. Why should they be different? And an exemption to the freedom of information that victims, right now, just victims of violent crimes will not have their pictures released to the press.
Minors?
Victims.
Wow.
Of violent crimes. And then there's going to be a task force. We're going to work on that to look at, where do we go from here? Ideally, I would say at least, if I was going to do it, if I had my druthers, it would be 17 years and under. And the task force is also going to address the 911 tapes, because I think the Newtown families didn't want the 911 tapes released, and I don't know. For now, they won't be. But the task force is going to be looking at those types of issues. But again, a story, I was in the majority leader's office. We were talking about the business for the day, and I heard this woman talking loudly and sobbing, and she was talking to staff. She didn't know she was not. Was ultimately, I found out she was a parent, but she was not one of the ones that had been active in. With the others and going to Washington and doing that. She was just, her and her husband and another parent had always been on the outskirts trying to be private about it. But now she was concerned about this one issue. And she came and so she's sobbing and she thinks she's talking to like a press guy and somebody else. So we brought her into the majority leader's office. We sat him down and just to listen to her story. I don't know. So that's what we did. I think we did the right thing. Again, that's a vote I take every day and say that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was. That's how we started the session, kind of, and we kind of ended it on the FOI stuff too. That it started with the guns and ended with the FOI, and it just was really powerful and actually heartbreaking.
Oh. Gut-wrenching.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But, then we had a bunch of other stuff going on.
Oh, you did? Although that can take the wind
out
of you.
To what we did.
Let's talk about, although the other stuff is not quite mundane, but not quite as gut-wrenching. How about the budget, Russ? What happened with that?
I think the budget, there were a couple things that happened with this budget. First of all, every time we vote on a budget, the first thing I do, and I know the first thing John Fanfare, Paul Doyle, and Tony Guerrero does, is look to see where we fit in the, is Weathersfield getting what, we originally had thought and what they had budgeted for. And the governor had put out a budget, when he puts this out in February, and Weathersfield actually got $80,000 more than in the governor's budget. And so for me...
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that is good. And one of the real controversial parts of the budget was that there was, originally in the governor's budget, there was, and you may have heard about it, but it was to auction off people that aren't utilizing you know how the energy's been deregulated, so
Yes.
you can use different providers. A lot of people are just staying with CL&P, and so the private providers are saying, hey, they were going to. It was a big money issue, so the state was going to auction them off, auction blocks of customers
Grid,
off to
okay.
these private providers at a cost. And so the AARP and some other groups really did a masterful job, because I never got so many calls and emails in my life on an issue. And that was a real sticking
Wow.
point for a lot of people. And up until pretty much the last day before we voted, that was in the budget. And our caucus said, no, we don't want to do that. And the governor gave in. They changed some funding around. Of course, that's what added. I think that's one of the things that added Keno in, which
I want to talk about that too.
Which
yeah.
makes some people crazy. But
Interesting that, am I correct that someone in our delegation did not vote for the budget?
yes, that's true.
Yeah, I saw that Paul Doyle didn't vote
Yeah.
for the budget.
No, he did not.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's got to do what they got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately,
Absolutely.
it's important to me that Wethersfield gets what it's due as far as
Yeah.
funding programs. I mean, this year,
Because it looked really, really bleak
Oh,
at the
sure did.
beginning. That
Sure did.
I mean, it almost sounded like Malloy was going to, cut the towns.
yeah, I
So
mean,
that
there was all kinds of
scary
stuff. There
for
was all
us.
kinds of things in there about the car taxes, and
Yeah.
all kinds of things. And again, and what I always always tell people is like, relax. The governor is going to put out his budget, and he's going to do some controversial things, and,
Yep.
and then it brings people to the table,
Yep.
and you get what you need.
Well, I'm glad Wethersfield
Wethersfield did great.
did great. I mean, I know we could always use more.
Yeah, but I mean, most towns were held harmless, really.
All right.
And I think overall, there's plenty of things that one of the things that occurs with budgets in every year is we all can go through and find things we don't care about for in the budget, but what's not important to me is important to another representative or senator. And that's why the budgets
Oh,
are as
yeah.
they are. So sometimes you have to hold your nose a little bit and say, so I make sure that Wethersfield is well taken care of. That's important to me. There's a lot of good things in it. There's some things probably that I could look at and not want to support. But
Well, I
I
think
don't have
that's-
that benefit to pick and choose. It's not a line on them.
Right, and that's part of the problem,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes they put things in there that you would really rather not vote for. But if you want the funding for Wethersfield,
Well, yeah, and you know what? It gets to a point where we have to conduct the business. The town of Wethersfield adopted their budget in May.
yeah,
They're going on a wing and a prayer. And one of the things that I was concerned about, if this budget didn't go and we didn't make the dollars work, ultimately municipal funding would get cut. And we had to address it. Didn't like all of it. I mean, there was a lot of discussion about the hospital funding
Oh,
that comes from
yeah.
the state, and we were able to reduce some of the hurt for some of the smaller hospitals, but not anything that they liked. Our analysts tell us that because of the federal health insurance, that the hospitals will actually be getting more money from the feds, and is going to offset this. If you listen to the hospitals, they say absolutely not. So, like everything we do, I
Yeah.
think you let it flush out for a year or two, and really see how it goes.
yeah. And there are always two sides to everything,
At
too.
least, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
we talked. We had a lot of people that work in the hospital system
yeah.
in Wethersfield. Because we have St. Francis and Hartford and Children's
Yeah.
and all
We
over
got
the
everything
place. Yeah,
here.
and not too far from New Britain, and so there are a lot of people that live in our town that work in the hospital system, and it was, I'll tell you, very interesting discussion. But financially, Wethersfield did well. I mean, we were able to bring
glad.
in some bonding money. John and I worked real hard to get some bonding money for Wethersfield this year. We were able to bring in $500,000
Excellent.
for some specific projects we did. Wow, they're really going to town back there. Well, they're saying we're good to go, but That's nice.
Oh, you can hear. Okay. They can hear, so maybe people could call in. Well, I don't know what time it is. What time is it?
It's 7:30. Call
On 8814.
or 721 TV 14.
I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance to
No,
say
you
that.
didn't.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So no, it was again dealing with the hospital issue was pretty tough.
Yeah. You know what else was tough? And I have to say, I didn't follow this as much as I should have. The genetically modified.
Hey, before we get to GMO, just let me talk
Yeah.
about the funding that we were able to bring
bonding.
to town.
I'm sorry.
We were able to
I'm
bring
sorry.
some bonding to town and some specific projects. The town had been lobbying for some intersection improvements in Old Weathersfield on Main Street because there's been some accidents.
There
A
have?
little girl
Okay.
was killed there years ago.
Oh, years ago.
And
Oh,
so
my
we
goodness,
got
yes.
we got $250,000, I believe, for that, maybe more.
By the way, there's that sound again.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
but anyway,
all
go
kinds
ahead.
of stuff. And then we got some money for one of the playgrounds in town, playscapes in town at Emerson that was going to be torn down by the town because it's not safe.
Oh, okay.
They had been raising funds and they came to us and said, the town's going to tear it down because it's become unsafe. So we tried to help there, and we did a nice addition to Mill Woods. They're doing a big gazebo in honor of the young lady. It was Loretta's dream. So to help, anything. I always enjoyed doing some things. Oh, we also got $100,000 for the renovation of Montanaro Field, soccer field.
Yeah.
Drainage and infrastructure
excellent.
changes and those types of things. I always like doing things that families can use and benefit
yeah.
from.
I mean, that's really the whole town.
Yeah.
So that's really great.
Yeah. So we were able to do that in a difficult year, and some people get critical of these types of things, and if we don't, I'm always going to advocate to try to get monies brought back to town because, if I don't, other people will.
For their towns, yeah.
And secondly, a lot of these projects are things that the town just can't do on their own.
And these also aren't things that are just going to affect one person.
Right.
Those are the ones I don't like.
Yeah. No, this is
when
good
something.
stuff. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
And, the GMO labeling, you wanted
Yeah,
to talk
that's
about
the genetic.
that. Genetic modified.
What's the O?
Uh,
It's genetically labeling of genetically engineered food, but I can't remember what the O stands for. GMO. Genetically modified. Oh.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about GMO.
Okay.
That was a really interesting issue that came to us this year. Basically, what those people wanted is they want to know that if they're buying food that's genetically modified, and there was a lot of support for it, and there was a lot of support not for it. It was, if you want to look at what happened with that, the whole idea is we want, and I did support it because I wanted people to at least know what they need to know. Again, we're looking back at a screen that has nothing on it. Hey, Matt, are we live or Memorex? He's going to throw something at me. So really, the law basically states, and we voted. The Senate voted on one bill. We changed it in the House. It went back to the Senate, and it came back to us. And because once you change things, it has to go back and forth. But basically, there has to be, I think, 4 or 5 other states that sign on to this type of legislation before it'll actually go into action. So we need like New York and in this region, in the Northeast.
Why?
Why? Because the leadership felt that by only having one state, it would really hurt the business climate because you're only forcing it to be done here and not New York or not Rhode Island.
That's interesting.
And I kind of get it, but I also kind of get that people should have the right to know what they're eating.
Yeah, I know.
And part of it is the market would driven. I bet you if companies put forth something that says GMO free, people would look at it and say, "Hey, I want that." But you talk about it. I mean, much of our produce is genetically modified. You look at, I was telling Matt before, I like seedless watermelon. So I like to fight with the seeds. Well, guess what? It's modified. Most of the corn we eat today is modified. And that's one of the things that one of the big companies, Monsanto, was really fighting this, because they actually sell seeds now that have fertilizer, pesticides in them, and everything.
Huh.
So to help, it increases for the farmers, it increases crop production, it decreases damage from pests, and some people might want to know that they're not eating that, or they are eating that. It's really an interesting discussion.
Wow.
But they're saying that some of the bigger companies are saying, oh, it's labeling, it's going to cost us. But right now, like the big producers that have operations in the States and in Europe, they do it in Europe.
Do they really?
Yeah. So and if they can label our water bottle for 5 cents in one state and 10 cents in another,
Yeah.
I'm guessing that it can be done. So
That's funny.
So I think it's a good consumer bill, but right now it's not not going to do anything till we get some others. But we're the first in the nation to do it.
Really? I'm sure that businesses did not like putting the calories on either.
It's interesting though, and it's only the big chains, but it does catch your eye. Mm-hmm. When you go in and you're looking at something, you say,
Oh, yeah.
"Holy Toledo!"
Yeah. And I'm sure that wasn't
But
very popular.
yeah, but it was a pretty good bill. I thought it was interesting. What else did we do?
Well, you did a lot.
The minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
And
Let's talk about that.
Well, that was basically it brings it from $8.25 to $9 over the next 2 years. I think it's 40 or 45 cents this year, and then the balance the following year. And it's that was again a real contentious one, because it's funny, some small businesses came to us and said they were fine with it. Many of them paid, their helpers pay them more anyway.
So it'll, on January 1st, 2015, it'll go to 9. What I found interesting was that wait staff, this will not affect them at all.
No,
Which,
because the restaurant industry was vehemently against it.
Yeah.
Vehemently against it. They didn't want. This. They said this would hurt them. So that I was surprised we got this passed.
I know. Now, was this a vote along party lines?
For the most part, yes.
For the most part?
Yeah. There's some Democrats that voted against it, and I don't know too many Republicans that voted for it, but hey, listen, it's one of those things.
I mean, it's not a huge increase,
Well,
and I
yeah.
know some businesses it will be difficult, but I betcha they handle it.
Whoa, this is a beautiful thing.
The
We have good audio
audio's
for the next
fixed.
20 minutes. Woo-hoo. We're ready to go. So if you want to find out what we talked about the last 40 minutes,
Well,
just tune in again.
Let's
and-
start
and the
over.
tape.
Let's just start over. Hi, Russ.
No. So, but talking about the minimum wage, I mean, and I'm not going to beat the horse,
I know.
but if you work 40 hours a week at 8.25, what it's kind of hard to do anything.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I'm not sure making it to $9 is going to do much, but it's all right. It's a way to start. What else do you want to talk
Russ,
about?
what's been going on? What happened with highway workers' safety, construction zones?
Bill
Anything?
5250, yes, 5250. Good bill. It worked. One of the things we also did in the big transportation bill, we did some distracted driving
Good.
issues. Because,
Good.
as you know, people are driving down the street
Oh.
doing this all the time. I see it. I'm on the road a lot
I know.
for my job, and I see people just texting and doing things like I'm doing now. And, it's pretty crazy.
Put that down.
I know, because I just got one, and a text that said, "There's another show on, not yours." Hey, Matt, you sure we're back online? I'm getting nasty text messages now. So that's just for my wife. I hate to see. So no, 5250 is a good bill. So we're addressing some distracted driving, but what transportation workers, if it's a private contractors, there's police always there. There's always there. For DOT maintenance guys that are working on the highways, no police. There's a program called Big Orange that they put in place, but they don't utilize it a lot. And so the guys, they're out there doing the same work, patching roads, doing stuff with no police protection. And we've had no, that's the truth. So we've had DOT workers killed in the line of duty.
Yes, I've seen that.
We have had numerous DOT workers, their vehicles hit, and they've had serious damages. Wow, this is just a freaky night, isn't it? I don't know if it's the ghost of WCTV past or something, but so what this bill did was it tightened the laws. It raised the fines for driving through work zones if you're speeding. And what we basically did was we took some money. We said, okay, so we're going to get money from fines and put it in an account to help pay for more police presence.
Oh, good.
So it kind of perpetuates. It doesn't do everything we wanted. There's a set amount because, so again, every bill has some issues, but it's a start. And, we'll be able to highlight some of the more hectic jobs that the guys and ladies are on and have some police presence. Because one thing, when there's a state trooper on a job, people slow down.
Oh, yeah.
And if they get caught texting when they're going through, they're going to have more fun. They're going to pay more. And you know what? The arguments have been made, and being on the Transportation Committee, people are actually saying that it's worse than drunk driving. Because, and again, when people are so drunk they can't even see, that's one thing. But when people are under the influence, typically they're at least looking at the road, paying attention, trying to be more careful. Obviously they're impaired. But when you're doing this, your eyes are completely off the road and you're completely distracted. And it only takes a second for life to change. So I was really proud of that bill. That's something I sponsored, and I was really pleased. It passed unanimously in the Transportation Committee. It got referred to the Finance Committee. It went on consent, which means all the Republicans and all the Democrats agreed, and they didn't need to discuss it.
Oh, that's great.
It got referred to the Appropriations Committee for reasons unknown. It came back out of there. And it passed 137-0 in the House.
Oh, that's great.
And it went on the consent calendar in the Senate. And the governor signed it already.
Oh,
so
that's good.
Again, anything we can do to help, keep people safe. And really, we need to make a bigger awareness. I hope it comes to a point where we never have to put those funds in.
I know.
I hope people, I'm really concerned about people driving and texting. And
it's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Because you know who's doing it. They're the ones that aren't moving at a light.
Yeah, everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody, even the distracted driving law, they basically expanded it to, like, if you're sitting at a light or you're in a traffic jam and you start texting, if they see you, you're going to get nailed. So just pay attention.
With that.
Yeah, just pay attention.
I'm okay with that.
Pay attention to the laws.
How about some commerce stuff? What happened with some small business bills?
Well, let me tell you about that.
Why don't you tell us about that,
Russ?
Russ?
We had a couple things. The Commerce Committee is really an interesting committee, and obviously pro-business. But some of the things we did there, right now, small businesses can come for financial aid or assistance through a company called Connecticut Innovations Incorporated, and they're kind of like a
Quasi?
Yeah, they get funds from the state in different areas, and then they have investors that try to help small businesses out.
Oh, okay.
Well, it was painful sometimes. So we passed a law to expedite that process. So, if they want a loan of $150,000 or less, it can go just from the staff of Connecticut Innovations as opposed to having to go for the full board. Because previously you go to the staff, say, listen, we'd want this. They'd go through everything, and then they'd submit it to the board, who would then have to look at it, and it really slowed things down. So this way, the board can still focus on the big dollar amounts, over 150. But for small businesses, this is key. And we heard from small businesses that said this was a concern.
They're pleased. Okay.
And they like this. And then the Small Business Express program, We did it in a special session in 2012. It's going to add money to that program, and it provides loans and matching grants to businesses with 100 or fewer employees. So I think, again, it's going to help the small manufacturers and a lot of the small businesses. Those are the types of things I think that, make a difference for the small businesses. And so I was encouraged by that.
A couple other things I want to ask you about. One is elections, and one is what's going on with the Department of Aging. But Russ, we just touched on Keno. I just wanted to mention, do we have to do a different type of agreement with the Mashantucket?
They're in negotiations now, and that was part of the thing that we would.
Okay.
There's a dollar amount that they give us money towards slots and percentages slots. We would probably offer them the same type of thing because our discussions are that it's actually a lottery game, much like they have in Rhode Island and Massachusetts and New York. It's a lottery game. Obviously the casinos are thinking a little differently. They want their cut of it, but.
Okay.
But the government, the administration is working with the casinos to look at that.
I was just wondering about that.
One other bill that I took out this year that was something I'd like to touch base on because it's really important to me is coming from the Government Administration Elections Committee as a chair. My old stomping grounds. We did a bill this year to make it easier for our men and women serving overseas and their families to vote.
Smart.
It had been very painful for them. They couldn't, sometimes they'd get their ballots mailed to them, but by the time they got them from wherever they might be stationed at an outpost further up, many of them, were not getting the opportunity to get them back in time. So this bill allows, basically what it did, we had stricter things to get it in place right away. The Secretary of State's office had some concerns. So what we're doing is the bill gives the Secretary of State, 5 months to come up with a process. And there's basically only 2 companies that provide the software for this. But to come up with, evaluate whatever companies are out there so that we can get confidential, secure ballots back to and fro these people.
Good.
But again, it's not for people that work overseas. It's not for people that are traveling overseas. It's strictly for members of the military and their families.
Good.
People that are serving our country should make sure. We want to make sure.
Shouldn't be difficult
so
for them.
that was a good bill, and I didn't get questioned for much on that, which was nice.
Good. Campaign. Finance laws? Yeah,
that was interesting. There were some good things in there, some things that probably weren't so good, depending on who you ask. With the influx of the big, based on Citizens United corporations and the big guys putting in all kinds of money into campaigns, and really no way to combat it. So this year we agreed to allow people to make bigger donations to the state parties and to PACs, with the idea of helping to combat some of the, private donors and CEOs that were giving money.
Richard, there were some comments on that.
There were, and it goes back and forth on it. Unfortunately, campaigns are big money. And one of the things I do like, at least at the state level in our races, are that, we run, most of us, Republican and Democrat, utilize the state-funded campaign, and it really does limit what can go on and who can give to you and how much. I can only take up to $100 from people, whereas, you look at, some of the other things. So it's unfortunate.
I know.
It's unfortunate. I wish we didn't have to deal with it. I wish the federal government would actually, go and do some of the same things, but some of the same things to try, because, it's no fun for them either. The congressmen, they run every 2 years like us, and they're consistently fundraising.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
it takes a lot of money to win a race or to run a race.
Every 2.
Yeah, Senate is 6.
Yeah.
But so.
Anything on Department of Aging?
No.
Anything having to do with seniors or anything?
Yeah, we did some prescription stuff, which was pretty cool, actually. Where's that? One of the things, for seniors, and a lot of times they, not so much around here, but in other parts of the state, there's small pharmacies that take care of them, and under some of the laws previous, it was making it hard for the small pharmacies to really exist. So what we did was, we did some stuff to synchronize their prescription refills to make sure that their refills could be refilled all at the same time.
Oh.
And then also, it made it easier, and I didn't realize it because, around here we really don't have any that we know of, right? It's mostly big pharmacies.
A bunch have closed.
But when we, it cuts down the overhead costs of the pharmacy because they're only going to a house once a month, as opposed to, maybe every time a new prescription was ordered. So, again, simple things, but nonetheless.
Hey, it'll help out.
Yeah, it's a, pardon me, it's a good thing.
What about anything in the environment? I can't remember.
Oh, all kinds of stuff. What the heck did we do? I want to say what.
I don't know how you can keep all of this
I can't.
straight.
It's because I'm old and I'm forgetful.
I know,
but there were
Russ,
a couple good things
it's
I did
so
want to
true.
touch. I'm glad you touched base on that because what did we do? Locally grown products. That's a big thing now today. A lot of people are worried about their carbon footprint and what we're providing, and they want to be able to buy stuff they know is locally. And because of the laws, like if they were poultry farms, they could sell to a restaurant, or they could sell to you and I, but now they can sell to grocery stores. They couldn't by state statute. They couldn't sell to grocery stores for poultry and such. So now they will be able to sell, say Bliss Market, which is reopening on Friday. It's 5 minutes left, you believe it? Bliss Market,
my
which is
goodness.
reopening on Friday, will be able to buy poultry from Connecticut farms and label it as Connecticut poultry. So
They couldn't
They
before?
couldn't. No, by statute they couldn't because of the USDA regulations.
Isn't that
So and we did some of that
stupid?
as well with some other what was the other one? There was one more I thought for Connecticut grown proteins, which in certain state contracts. So again, making it so beef, pork, lamb, farm raised fish could get the same preference as other Connecticut grown products. So again, trying to help our small farmers and such are important. Another interesting one was there's a bamboo problem in this state.
Yeah, I kept seeing something talking about running bamboo.
Yeah, and it
didn't
really
know
is.
what it
It's
was.
an invasive plant, and so it's gonna to make people be responsible for it.
And
So
you have to contain it.
Yeah, it's a good idea because it is an invasive. So
I didn't know that.
So we have 5 minutes or probably 4 minutes to go, and this is going to be our last show of at least for the summer
For the summer.
because we want to. We want people to enjoy, and they can listen they can watch the reruns and learn about the session. I want to thank you for another good year and appreciate your help. But our star producer, Matt Wilson, is going away. He's going to college in D.C.
It's going to the big house.
And we want to give him a little shout and tell him how proud we are of him and how happy we are and how angry I am that he's leaving me.
How invaluable he's been.
Yeah, why don't we drag him?
And how they're making him come.
Yeah, how we're going to embarrass the living daylights out of him. So
Yay.
we do want to say to Matt, thanks a lot for leaving me. But
It's
congratulations.
all about him.
We're very proud of you, and we wish you nothing but the best. We're gonna miss your efforts. I know what a hard worker you are, and what great things you've done at the high school in your career with Jets and working with Young Dems and doing a lot of things to help people. And
The Board of Ed.
I look forward.
everything.
I look forward to you at least firing me an email once in a while. Let me know what's up in your life. So because again, one of the things I'm most proud about. Are we done?
No, I don't think so.
Are we
Well,
done?
keep talking.
Oh, don't say we're done. But one of the things that makes me proud is the good work you do.
Thank you so much.
So we wish you well.
We're going to miss
It's a
you.
pleasure.
Yeah, and on that, I guess I do have to end because if it's being recorded, it's been great. Happy summer to all. Good night to Tootsie the Wonder Dog.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you for getting him out here.